Good evening, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the Why Not Me podcast. I am your host, Jerry Ruiz. With me today, I have Las Vegas rising star, Patrick Hogan.
Hi.
All right, that was a modest
Rising
hi.
star.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You
You're.
you have me you have me laughing over here with rising star.
Oh, okay.
You're
I'm
too kind.
sorry. Superstar. We have superstar Patrick Hogan over here. I didn't mean to disrespect your name like that. Sorry, sir.
Oh, nonsense, nonsense. Rising star is generous.
All right, man. So, I guess we can get this started.
Yeah, why not?
So, I guess we're gonna ask a little bit about you. I
Sure.
kind of know a little bit about you from your parents. They're the ones that let me know about you. I
Yeah.
see them every day, so you already got a big rising right here. So, I guess I'm gonna ask you. So, what exactly is it that you do? I have you as musician, but that's
Right.
kind of broad. What's
Well, I figured that it would be best to keep it as musician because the things that I do, it has become rather broad. I started as really a piano player principally. That's what I studied for many years. I started playing in around 2006 or 2007. And I've always had a writing component to what I do as well. I continue to write a lot of songs. And since I moved to Las Vegas to study here, I've also increasingly done arranging, which is another form of writing in this business. And I sing as well now. So that's four things. And I've done some MD work, musical director work, things of that nature. Uh, so I would say that I can wear a few different hats now in this business.
okay. You're not wearing one right now, though, just to let people know.
No, I can get one though. I have a few.
Okay. Do they all have different names? So when you do different projects, singer.
No, but it's funny you say that because you do have to sometimes kind of like change mindsets depending on what you're doing. Um, so having the mindset not like for the compositions that I write, I never really used to do lyrics, but I do that a lot now. So it's kind of interesting putting yourself into a mindset where you're writing a song and then maybe you have to arrange it for something for orchestra or something like that. Uh,
Wait,
wearing the
you write lyrics
Yeah, go
for
ahead.
orchestra?
Well, what I do is I guess if I was like tracking the not the concept but the progression of getting a song written and then uh, preparing it to be performed. Um, at least during a normal time in the world when there's not coronavirus and concerts are hampered. If I write a song, so I write melody, harmony, and lyrics. Then if I want to perform it with a big band, then I've got to write the arrangement. So I would have to write it out for whatever the configuration is. For instance, of the UNLV band is where I go to school.
Yeah.
So that's that like they have a slightly unusual configuration, but a more standard configuration for big band might be four trumpets, four trombones, five saxophones, and then a four-piece rhythm section. So if I want to be able to perform it with that ensemble, I have to write out an arrangement for that configuration. Then comes the actual task of performing it. So at that point, if I'm singing it, then I'm doing that. If I'm just playing on it, if it's instrumental, because typically with UNLV, I like to either be standing. I like to stand if I'm singing, which I don't usually get to do. Usually, if I'm going to be singing, I'm sitting and playing at the same time.
Playing the
Um,
piano, right?
yeah, but so then it's like a multi-step process. So you have the writing the song, writing the arrangement, and then actually performing it. So I guess that's kind of where I'm getting at with the different mindsets, slightly different mindsets. Um, Going along the process of getting something ready to actually be performed or recorded.
Okay. Sorry, That's a lot of stuff that's processing through my head.
Yeah, sorry. I know. I kind of went on a tangent there a
No,
little
that's
bit.
okay. We'll probably break down a little more as we go
Yeah,
exactly
no,
what
I'd
that
be happy to
means.
break it down because one thing I think that people take for granted with music is um they aren't necessarily like aware of like all of the steps of the process with music, particularly the more instruments that are involved. So I'd be happy to do that and break it down with you.
Okay, and the good thing is I'm here to fill in the shoes of the average Joe.
Sure. Yeah.
That way,
No,
whoever,
I yeah.
if I don't understand something, I'll probably cut you off, and
Sure.
not in a
Do it.
crazy
Yeah.
way. I'm gonna be like,
Absolutely.
stop. Yeah.
No,
Alright.
that's fine.
I wish I had the little sticks, the conductor sticks. That way I could just do the
Yeah, you can cut me off that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't I feel like if I wave the microphone, it probably will make some noise. But
Scooch.
I guess for now, so Patrick Hogan, that's your stage name, right?
Well, it's my given name
It's your
too.
real
So you
name.
see, my real name doubles as my stage name.
Okay, so I'm going ahead and making sure people
Oh,
know that. Um,
yeah.
so I had a thing too. I was gonna ask you how did you come up with the name, but I guess we're gonna have your parents on here for that one, huh?
Yeah, yeah. You'll have to ask them.
So how exactly did you start making music or like start the what was the well you said you do writing, you play piano, you sing. What was the first thing you started? I guess is
The
what we'll
first
say.
thing, well, the first thing that I started doing seriously was playing piano.
Playing piano.
Um, and there's some of the other things I do have roots that go farther back, but I guess I'll start with piano. So, like I said, I started playing in 2006 or seven, and it wasn't actually uh, my suggestion. I was homeschooled for years and years and years, and my mom one year, I guess we'd been kind of I'm not sure whether we'd been shirking this or whether it came up one year where I needed to be playing an instrument for the curriculum. And my mom suggested, well, why don't you take up piano? That sounds reasonable, right? And I didn't object. It sounded fun to me, so that's what we rolled with. And it ended up being uh, pretty much instantly fascinating to me. And I started to get really, really serious. And the composition aspect, I actually started doing that pretty fast because the act of coming up with new pieces was fascinating to me. And like I said, I didn't really do lyrics for a long, long time, but I wrote instrumental compositions.
So
And I gravitated.
composition is like the notes or
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. So composition takes different forms depending on the genre. Like composition means really something very different in hip hop than it does in classical music or something like that. So like in classical music,
why'd you say
there's like
hip hop for?
no. I said hip hop.
Just
No, I
messing.
said hip hop because it's no. I said hip hop because it's the truth. It's
Yeah.
not. That's not intended to be some sort of knock on hip hop. Actually, I'm not an expert on hip hop. That's my brother's purvey.
Oh, okay.
But I it's in no way intended to be some sort of insult. Actually, I think hip hop is the most vital form of popular music that we have today. I think that most of what's being done from a serious artistic standpoint is being done in pop. It's not being done in rock or top 40. It's being done in hip hop.
Uh,
But composition is different in hip hop because it's just a different process. It's much more about like picking out the rhythm. I mean, I'm no expert on this, but it's much more about picking out the rhythms and finding backgrounds on which, like layers on which to build the
the
lyrics
the only
and
reason
things like that. So it's a different.
the only reason that I said that was because I'm actually gonna talk a little bit later about hip hop and how piano playing actually would come in handy.
Right. Oh yeah. No, of course. Yeah. No.
um,
No. But I mean, the compositional process there is different. Now, sort of the traditional compositional process. So, okay. So in classical music, there's very little improvisation. In classical music, basically, you have music. You have to do it more or less note by note, read it note by note, and then the what will make each performance different is the little ancillary things like how are you going to handle dynamics, like how, like when it says you're going to go loud or soft with something, because this is all directed in the sheet music, how actually loud or soft are you going to do it, Some classical musicians will change tempos slightly from what's written, things like that. So there are like some differences in interpretation, but it's much more tied to the written page. And somebody has to write out those pages. So a Beethoven symphony or a Bach invention, those are compositions. And those cats, they wrote out all of it on the page for people to interpret. In jazz, which is my main purvey these days, it always has been. It's similar, but it's a little bit different. So in jazz, the compositions aren't generally quite as detailed. You don't have you usually don't have as many staves and as many directions. Like okay, so it's usually written to be a sort of a basic uh, blueprint on which multiple different sizes of ensembles or combinations of instruments can play off of. So so if you take something famous like something that Sinatra did, so "Fly Me to the Moon" is a composition.
Hey,
Bart,
I'm gonna have to
yeah,
cut you off real quick. I'm so
sure,
sorry about this. There, the viewers are telling me that the visual stream is being choppy. So
okay,
we're gonna have to take a quick 10-minute break just so I can fix that. Um,
that's fine.
I'm so sorry about that.
No,
Just
that's fine. Don't worry. I'll hold my train of thought.
okay. Let me go ahead and end this real quick. I'll be right back in like 10 minutes. You guys, give me a quick
Great.
second. All right. It looks like it's all good now.
Oh,
Uh,
wonderful.
Everyone, sorry about that. To the people still watching, you guys are real ones. To the ones not watching right now, catch me later on the upload. All right, Patrick Hogan. I apologize to you as well.
No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
I'm a little embarrassed. That's the first time that's ever happened. I don't want to say that. Sorry about
Knock on wood.
that. All right,
Cool.
let's move on from there.
Um, yeah. So, oh yeah, we were talking about composition. So with classical, it would be, written out more detail. But with something like a jazz standard or something like that, it's usually written out. There's just like a melody line and the harmony to go with it. So then there's like more responsibility is delegated to whoever's performing it to interpret the composition a certain way. And then there's other ways to do it, but that's just kind of a general idea. So when I write tunes, I'm usually doing it the in that more jazz oriented manner where I'm writing what's called a lead sheet. So it's just a melody line and the relevant chords. And occasionally there will be something a little bit more detailed, like if I want specific bass lines or something like that. But that's kind of what that means.
All right, now that's pretty cool. So I'm glad that you explained to everyone exactly what composition is. That way they
Yeah,
can see the process it takes to make music.
yeah,
I appreciate you remembering where we left off because that'll make the editing a lot better and a lot smoother. Um, I just want to say let's have a quick toast to,
oh, certainly.
to recovering that.
Yeah, drink up.
So
Chin done.
now that we know exactly how it is to well the basics of making a song, where is it that you work at right now? What kind of gigs do you get over there in Vegas?
Yeah, so the music scene in Vegas is very difficult right now. I mean, anything in the world right now that in the hospitality industry is suffering, and entertainment really, depending on where you're playing, live gigs are often in the hospitality or it's certainly here because so much of it happens at hotels and showrooms. Um, and live concerts have been shut down in most places. But there are some things happening in Vegas still. My regular gig is at Bellagio.
Oh,
They
okay.
have a
Dang.
they have a supper club here, a restaurant called the Mayfair, and it's intended to be a sort of like an updating of the old school supper clubs where you went and had dinner and a show. So I work there 5 nights a week. That's one of their crown jewel restaurants that they wanted to get back. up and running as soon as possible once they started opening hotels again. Um, so, like I said, I do that 5 nights a week. There are a few other gigs here and there that are back in lounges. I haven't really been doing those, but I've also been on a recording session for somebody, and I'll be doing another one of those next week. During the lockdown, I did some live streams, which
Kind of like this.
most yeah, well, kind of like this, except it was music. It wasn't, excuse me, it wasn't an interview. But we went and we did it like in somebody's living room, and I was working for somebody when I was doing it. I wasn't doing it under my own name. Um, and we played for about an hour.
And
Uh, yeah,
did you? So you're making money off that too, right? Like as a
yeah, no,
gig.
yeah, no.
Okay.
I've been fortunate enough in my time doing this to get to the point where I can make money at it. And I typically don't have to do things free anymore for the exposure. Exposure is sort of like the bane of the artist's existence.
No, that's true,
Um,
man. Like a
yeah,
superstar like
but
you. Woo.
well, I don't know that I would classify myself that way, but I have been fortunate enough to get to the point where I can, if somebody offers me something like that, where the arrangement isn't equitable, I don't have to take it.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
The Bellagio is my fiance's like favorite hotel there on the strip.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
so you saying that you play there at the Bellagio is actually pretty cool because
Oh yeah. It's a nice place to work.
oh yeah, I bet Vegas is a nice area to work at in general. But
Yeah.
so you said you work 5 days a week. Is that always the same? Is that flexible?
It changes. So my, plenty of cats around town have regulars. They have regular gigs, and then they supplement that where they can if they need to. So I work. I think I said days, but it's actually nights. I work 5 nights a week.
Same thing.
I
In
I
Vegas, it's a
well,
24-hour clock. You know.
it is. It's a 24-hour town, or slightly less so right now because things have altered hours. But under normal conditions, yeah, it's a 24-hour town. So I work there Wednesday through Sunday. I start at 5:30 every night, and I usually finish around 10:30. And then it's flexible because sometimes, I mean, usually I'm not taking a night off from there to do some other gig. But I do take things on Mondays and Tuesdays on my days off if it's practicable. And I'm still in school too, of course,
Oh dang,
and doing and
that's
dumber.
another
Yeah, and
double right there.
yeah, it's a lot. Because it's sort of like, it's sort of, there's four different things at any time to work on. So you have my regular, anything else extra that I take outside school, and then the fourth thing, which is sort of ongoing, which is working on personal things related to music. So writing, trying to get things going, planning for future things like recordings and things like that.
So right now when
Yeah.
you said the fourth thing was personal things, I thought you were gonna say personal life. So
What's
like
that?
yeah, I was gonna say the 2% of it is personal life, right?
Yeah. What's that adage? It's like there's like a triangle. It's like, what is it, like social life, successful school life, successful business life, pick two or something like that.
Yeah.
And I do. It's not that I have no social life at all. I have circles of friends here, and I do things occasionally, but mostly what I do with my time now is either related to my job, related to school, or sleeping. So and it's not always been like that, and I don't really mind as long as I have occasional off days where I can just kind of not have to think about this stuff. But music is one of those businesses where we may work fewer hours than somebody who's working a 9 to 5, but that's really just a nominal way of looking at it. Music is really a 24 hour 7 days a week business, because you always, if you're serious about it, you're typically thinking about it all the time. You have to be honing your craft when you're not on the job. And schedule management. If you're fortunate enough to be working a lot, then schedule management becomes a real boondoggle. So uh, no, I stay busy is the bottom line.
So
Yeah.
so in between classes and in between your shows, how much time do you take out of your day to practice? Um,
I don't practice that much anymore.
oh, okay. Oh.
I used to no, well okay, let me rephrase that. I don't practice my instrument that much anymore. I don't practice piano that much anymore, but I have to qualify that statement. So piano, I'm doing that 5 nights a week, sometimes 7 days a week, depending on what I'm doing with my Mondays and Tuesdays. And I spent a lot of practice time when I was still in middle school and high school, playing every day, honing the craft. So I have put in the time. Although I've never really been one of those people. There are some musicians. Talking about practice routines with musicians is really interesting because there are some people that, uh, you know, practice 8 to 10 hours a day and do these insane practice sessions. I've never been quite like that, but I did put in a lot of practice time. But what tends to happen is you get busier as a professional as you have less and less time and you're playing anyway. So there's always some things that you really ought to be working on, but you don't always have the time to do it. So I don't necessarily sit down at a piano for practice sessions that often anymore. But what I do practice is singing because I'm not formally trained as a singer. So I try to practice that diligently. I usually do that in my car
Oh, okay. I was gonna
as I'm
say,
driving to things. So
most
that I,
places where
yeah,
people practice their singing is probably in the car and in the shower.
in the shower. Yeah,
Those are the
I
two.
do. I typically do one of those.
Okay.
So yeah, because I mean, I have plenty of time where I'm driving to and from things to work on it. So I've always, ever since I started thinking about singing seriously, or really thinking about doing it at all, that's kind of been my routine. Is I do it when I drive. And the other thing that I end up working on a lot at home, if you want to call it practicing, is writing. So these days, lots of it is composition and writing lyrics to those compositions. But it's also arranging stuff like that. Although I get freelance arranging work here and there for singers and things like that. So those two things I still practice a lot. Now, as far as like how much time is devoted in the day, it really depends on the day. I don't have specific times set aside to do it. It really depends on like when I can work it in. So, like I said, with singing, it's usually when I get in the car, and that means 5 days. So 5 days a week, I'm driving to and from work. So I'm usually at least doing it on the way up, if not on the way back, because I'm usually tired from the day. For writing, it just depends. I mean, sometimes I do it like as the last thing in the evening, as I'm kind of winding down. I find that's actually a decent time to be writing because my brain tends to be more settled and ready to think about those things instead of thinking about the logistics of my day.
Yeah.
So it varies how much time I spend, but it's not. I would say that I spend more time working on the writing, typically, and that could be anywhere from just a brief little thing where I write down some ideas to a solid hour or two or even three if I feel creative about something. And if I'm working on an arrangement, then that's totally different too, because especially if it's for a large ensemble, that takes a lot of time. So it varies. I don't really have a set time.
So how do you even manage to get school into this if you got you got all this time into music,
Well,
man?
I ask myself that question often.
You're passing, right?
um, yes,
Okay.
my GPA is in fine shape. At least last I checked.
Okay.
It you know uh, I don't sleep a lot.
Yeah.
That's one way that I do it.
You're in Vegas. What do you got? You
Yeah,
got to live like Vegas, man.
yeah. I usually don't get 8 hours. I usually get more like an average of probably 5 or 6. And
Okay.
then I nap when I can. So as far as school goes, usually like if it's a day where I'm going to the Bellagio to work, I usually leave my apartment at 4 in the afternoon, and I know I won't be returning until probably 11 or 11:15. So that means that I have from whenever I wake up, and I try not to do the heroic the thing. There's some heroic people out there who insist on getting up at 7 or 7:30, and I'm not one of those people. But I do try to, you know, if I know I have some things to do, I'll get up at 9 or 9:30, and then
Jeez, lucky man.
yeah, well, well, yeah, but you have to remember that, like, I'm probably working later because, like, if it's so the Bellagio thing that goes till 10:30. That's not actually that late
Yeah.
in this business. But if I'm really jammed with work, then what usually happens is when I get home at 11 or 11:15, I have something to eat, and then I start. If I've got homework, I do that for a while.
Jeez. Okay,
So
unlucky man.
yeah, yeah. So sure, my alarm might be going off at a nice time that looks nice and neat and tidy and like, oh, he gets to sleep in, but it's really not like that because I'm usually up pretty damn late considering that I get off work at 10:30. I'm usually usually I'm working on something like homework, and then it takes a while for my brain to wind down. So, it's not uncommon for me to be going to bed at like 2 or 3. So then get up 9:30, have something to eat, work on homework or run some errand that needs to be done. Do that for a while. Try to fill the day up with something productive until 4 o'clock. Go to work. Cycle starts again.
So you're pretty much
yeah.
practicing to be a rock star, huh?
well, there's a lot less, drugs and alcohol.
Oh, okay. And then the hair's not as long either.
And the hair's not as long. But yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I am a bit of a night owl. So yeah. But
Yeah.
but I kind of have to at this point because I need to be able to fit everything in.
Yeah, no, it sounds terrible, man.
Well, it's worth it ultimately. It's elements of it are a drag, but as difficult as it is from a scheduling standpoint, and as stressful as it can be, the rewards are great. Because even I have a good job at Mayfair, and so that's good, and it pays my bills, and because I try to really stay focused on continuing to think about personal things coming down the line. I don't have a record out right now under my name, but I have a lot of plans for them. I have lots of things that I want to do with my career. Some people in music, they do different things. Some people just they play gigs, they play freelance sideman things for their entire career, and they're happy to do it. I'm ambitious. I have more and more things that I want to do.
So
So
you're
keeping that in,
kind of like Kanye West, huh? How he started out as a producer, wrote
yeah.
lyrics, became a singer.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because
Now he's running
that
for
is
president.
yeah. Well, I don't have any plans to do any politics, but that is kind of how it works, where you have to work your way up, and that's in no way intended to be some sort of like backhanded comment about what I do now, the jobs I have now. That's not my point at all.
Yeah, no, I
But
understand. You got to build
I
yourself
want
a base.
I want to, yeah, eventually I want to be headlining at places and making records and doing things for record companies and things like that. So keeping that goal in mind and working on things that are especially relevant to it, that is kind of a reward unto itself. It's fun to be writing new tunes and writing and getting into writing lyrics and writing arrangements. It's fun to be doing. It's fun, and it's fun to go to work too. But it's ultimately worth it, as stressful as the schedule can be. So, I'm happy with it.
So, this is all experience that you're gaining. Like everything you do in this industry
Yeah.
is helping you towards becoming your own brand or your own person
Yeah.
in the industry. So,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good that you realize that right now as you do it. That way you can help
Yeah.
look at different point of views as you work. So why did you choose? Well, I've been watching. I watched some of your performances on YouTube. If you guys type in,
I'm not sure whether any of those are any good.
if you type in Patrick Hogan on YouTube, some stuff pops up.
yeah.
So I've noticed that you guys play jazz and different types of music, but jazz is pretty much the common one, right?
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into jazz? I know you said
Uh,
that you started at an
oh
early
yeah,
age playing piano.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that, and I never tied up that loose end.
No, it's fine, man.
Yeah.
This is your show,
So
bro.
so I gravitated to jazz naturally because my parents are big fans. And I mean, jazz is a pretty wide umbrella term. It means a lot of different things. But in my parents' case, you know, it was lots of straight ahead stuff. So my father would play records frequently in the evening. He'd put on, you know, a Miles Davis record from 1956, or Thelonious Monk from the early 60s, or he'd put on Wynton Kelly or Hampton Hawes. He'd put on Wes Montgomery, and also vocalists, jazz vocalists too. And there's sort of like a you know, a gamut of different styles within that. So, you know, sometimes Ella Fitzgerald, Sinatra. I think of Sinatra as a jazz musician. Some people disagree with that, but I do. Although he's more like jazz pop, I guess.
Hey, you're
Um,
entitled to your opinion, man. That's
yeah,
why the
yeah.
spotlight's on you,
Um,
bro.
yeah, uh, you know, stuff like that. So I grew up listening to it, even though my parents weren't pro musicians or something, that, you know, were handing down the keys, as it were.
They just had
So
good taste.
yeah, they
They-
did have good taste. They had a good taste and a good record collection, a good CD collection. So when I started playing, that was what I knew the best. It's not like I hadn't heard classical music or I hadn't heard rock or anything like that, but I knew jazz the best. That was what I wanted to do just naturally. So I gravitated to that right away, which is good because jazz teaches you versatility. It teaches you how to easily adapt to other musical styles quickly. So it's actually a really good thing to start out in for a musician because you can go a lot of different directions with it if you so choose.
okay.
And you know, now a lot of what I do is I do both. I still do the straight ahead instrumental thing, but I do a lot of the singing thing now, which is sort of that, you know, jazz pop category. So that's how that started.
All right. So jazz pop star is what I should write under musician, huh?
No,
Oh,
I think, well, I mean, I think of myself just as a musician, but it's still jazz.
okay.
It's all semantics anyway. Music is music.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's all coming
Yeah,
from the soul, so
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah.
How hard was it to get the gig at the Bellagio?
Well, it's funny. It was fairly easy in most ways.
Oh, awesome. That's
Well. It was easy for me because I knew some people that were. I knew a guy that was on the gig.
oh, okay.
Connections are really important in this business. The guy that plays drums is still playing drums. He's still the regular drummer. We see each other all the time. We had done some freelance work together, and there was a level of mutual respect. But we didn't know each other really well. But when he got the gig first. He signed on to the project, was signed on to the project first, and they actually were going to get a different piano player who unfortunately had to drop out because of some of a personal matter, a family matter. So the musical director, the MD, was looking around for somebody else, and I guess he must have asked Andrea, the drummer, "Do you have any recommendations? You know, we're looking for something, and you know, we're looking for a certain kind of player, etc., etc." And Andrea remembered my name and gave my contact information to the MD.
Shout out
And
to
they,
Andrea the drummer.
yeah, shout out to Andrea. Thank you for getting me the gig that pays my bills. And They actually hired me without an audition. I think Andrea, they probably found some stuff on YouTube like you did. It's not like they had never heard me before, and they had Andrea's recommendation, and my MD trusted him. I think Andre actually like wrote something up even
Oh, nice.
to recommend me. I've never seen it. I don't
I-
know that I ever want to see it, but I think he actually wrote something up.
it wasn't like,
So they gave,
what
yeah.
other choice do we got?
Yeah, no. So like, actually, the most, yeah, yeah. It wasn't like, well, this cat's the last in town that's free. So the difficult part of getting the gig actually wasn't like an audition process. The difficult part was making sure that it was going to work from a schedule standpoint, because that was I got the gig last fall in the middle of the semester, and this is pre-corona, so I was still living on campus. Especially busy with school, because right now with school it's all online and it's a little bit different. It's a little easier,
It's a
but
little bit like this, right?
um, yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, Zoom meetings are the order of the day. Um, so it was much more difficult making sure that it was going to work from a schedule standpoint. And originally, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be doing it 5 days a week, whether I was even going to be able to do it 5 days a week. I was, thinking maybe it would be more like 3 or 4, but they gave me the 5. I made it work, and I realized it would be good from not just an experience standpoint, but from a financial standpoint. It would be more stability.
Like
So yeah, that's
already
how
a
I got
rock
it.
star where you just make your own schedule, huh? You're like, you know what? We'll see if it
Well,
works.
I mean, we have to manage our own schedules. Most people who are in a I mean, I guess I'm not really freelance anymore because I'm under contract to them. I still am able to do freelance work, but most people who are in my position don't have agents or managers, so we ourselves have to fill that role,
Oh, okay.
including schedule management. So it becomes a good life skill to have.
So for better or for worse, you're pretty much in control of the music that you do and where you do it, right?
In a way, um, I mean, I have the power to turn down what I don't want to do.
Yeah, that's
Um,
for the better.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm under contract to the Mayfair at Bellagio, but
How
if
long does that last for that contract?
right now I'm contracted for 6 months. The initial contract was for 6 months. We just re-upped for 6 months.
All right. Hey, congratulations, man.
So oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's good.
And of course, that could change. Like it changed when the pandemic happened. We were released from the contracts, and then they gave us something. We were brought back into the fold. So
So they can go ahead and cancel the contract anytime that they want, but you
they
you
they
can't
they
really cancel
can.
it, right?
Well, I mean that gets a little bit hairy. I mean, I have no desire to quit. I'm happy with the job, but I mean, I think that if something arose where I found that I needed to get out, like if there was some sort of serious family matter, or if Seth MacFarlane came to town and hired me or something like that, then I might be able to work something out with them. But I mean, it's a good job that I'd like to keep
Seth MacFarlane,
for the
the Family
nonce.
Guy guy.
Oh yeah, well he's a running joke for me. He's not a joke. That's not what I meant.
No,
I like
yeah,
I
technically he's a jokester, so you're not
No,
too
no, no,
far
no.
off.
That's no, no, no. He's a running reference, not a running joke. He's a running reference. My mentor Dave Loeb at UNLV, he technically works for Seth. He's been the piano player on Family Guy since the show started.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And he knows Seth. And I'm an admirer of Seth's his talent, and especially his music, because he makes records as a vocalist, and I'm a fan of his records. So I always like to joke with people about people say, well, how long are you going to be in Las Vegas and stuff like that, and I usually tell them, well, until some opportunity that I can't turn down comes along, like Seth MacFarlane comes through and needs an accompanist or something like that. So he's a running reference for me.
Oh, okay. So the
But anyway, no,
Bellagio's
I
gonna
mean,
keep him away now from from entering the.
well, yeah, no, I mean, the contracts um, they don't typically just fire people willy nilly. They didn't just there was a reason that we were released. It was not like we were uh, specially excluded and tossed out on our rear. There was a reason for it, because the hotels had to
Pandemic.
shut down and
Yeah,
stuff like
whole
that. Everybody,
pandemic.
everybody understood. Yeah, everybody understood what the score was. So, yeah.
Okay. Um. Well, like I watch sports. You probably don't know that, but now you do, and it's always
Well, I
interesting.
remember my mom mentioned that you watch basketball.
Oh, okay, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, it's always interesting to me, like hearing different contracts and different businesses, because you know it's they can all be completely different, or they can all have some like same concepts with them.
Yeah,
So it's pretty cool.
yeah.
It's pretty cool hearing that.
No, no, it's it's nice to have the security, and like I said, it's a good job. I'm happy there. So I'm grateful to have the 6 months, especially now because it's such a difficult time for musicians, and so many showrooms are closed. Uh, uh, it's particularly difficult. So I'm especially I'd be thankful anyway. It's one of the better jobs in town to have,
Yeah.
but it's particularly nice to have now, when times are really tough and lots of musicians are out of work and there's questions about the future of the business and all that jazz. So
So I guess what was the main question? That how hard was it to get into the?
oh, how hard was it to get into
Yeah.
gigs?
So
No, I mean yeah,
it was
it
super
was I
easy.
was
Yeah.
well, it was easy because I knew somebody that was on the gig, and they put in a good word for me.
Okay.
So if you want to look at it a certain way, it wasn't just that, you know, I happen to know a guy. It's that I put in the time to do the best job I could as a freelancer,
Yeah.
and it paid off because when I worked with this guy, he had a good impression of me and he hired me, or he didn't. He wasn't the one doing the hiring. He recommended me
Yeah.
for it. So you could say that the difficult part was all that came before it,
No.
and then this was the payoff that was relatively easy.
Yeah. All your experience made it super easy. But
Oh yeah.
so other than the Bellagio, are there any other gigs that you get here and there, or I know you signed a contract, or
Yeah. Well, it's I'm still able to do things here and there. Mostly right at the moment. The things I have with the books coming up, I have a recording session, and I think I have, there's a local place. It's a I guess yeah, it's a restaurant, and they have a stage. They think of themselves as a sort of listening room. It's called the Vegas Room, and they do very good food. They have a very good chef,
sounds
and then
kind
they
of
have
familiar?
yeah. It's new. It's a little place off of Sahara Avenue in a little old mall type area.
Huh.
And it's really a wonderful place to play because the proprietors are so serious about the experience and making sure that people are really there to listen to the music instead of, the music just being in the background. And I've done some things there already. I did some Sunday brunches, and I believe they're going to have me back to do some more of those either at the end of the month or next month.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I have that, and I do other things occasionally when they come up. I have some things that I'm doing for myself. I'm going to be doing a video shoot thing at the end of the month, which is for it's for there's some producers in town that I know, Rainmaker Productions, who want to get like a sort of a streaming channel going.
Yeah.
And they're getting a bunch of programming tapes, so they asked me to do something, so that's coming. And I think some of, at the very least, if not, some clips of that I'll be putting on YouTube. So,
Oh, nice. So you're making music
but
videos
yeah,
now too.
yeah, it's a little bit different than what people think of with music videos.
Not like
It's more
MTV.
like, it's not quite, it's not quite like that, but I guess you could say that that's what it is. So I have that coming up. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly a lot of what I do these days is writing some simple arrangements for singers. I say simple because it's usually just, it's not written out for a gang of instruments. It's usually just something that a piano player can do with whoever the vocalist happens to be. And I do, occasionally, some rehearsals for projects that people have coming up that they want me on, things like that. But no, I stay busy even when I don't have any uh, gigs during a week to supplement the regular that I have. Yeah, I stay pretty busy week in, week out.
So how do you decide that who you work with? or how do you like promote yourself to find these people,
To find people,
or vice versa? How do
when
they
it
find
comes to
you?
okay, so usually, you know, I know that we like one of the things that you talked about was at the end of the show. I'll give people my social media things, which I will. But what you'll notice is that I'm not usually very active on there. That's going to change. I'm going to be more active, but usually I don't do it via lots of social media content. Um, though I do have some plans. Uh, Usually, the way people find me is word of mouth, or because they saw me at something, or even worked with me on something where they didn't do the hiring, and then they like with the drummer, where we were both freelance workers hired to do something, and then he liked me and remembered me, and then I got a job through his recommendation. So it's usually people find out about me without having to go searching for my name on the internet. Somebody like a vocalist might. Um, well, I'll give you an example of how the process might work. So for the video thing that I talked about that I'm doing at the end of the month, uh, I wanted to. I've put together the band for it myself, and picked the musicians. And I knew, for instance, who I wanted on some chairs, and then for other chairs, I was thinking, well, okay, I have some options, but I might talk to my mentor and see if he also has some suggestions. Because I don't work with uh, this particular instrument as much. So I went and talked to him and said, well, okay, so throw some names at me, which he did. And some of them, I already knew. I was like, oh yeah, I've worked with him once or twice, stuff like that. And so then he gives me phone numbers and I take it from there. So that's an example of how word of mouth and connections gets you jobs. So a vocalist might talk to another vocalist and say, hey, my regular guy can't make it. Some of the people that I ask for subs can't make it. I'm looking for somebody new to play piano on this gig for me. Do you know anybody?
They're
And the
like, hey,
vocalist
come
might
check
say,
out
oh
this kid.
yeah,
This kid
yeah,
from the
yeah,
Bellagio.
yeah. The other, yeah, exactly. The other vocalist might say, well, have you tried Patrick? I've worked with him before, and I was pleased with the way that with the job that he did. So that's usually how I get work.
Okay. So none of them are like me and just ask your mom, like, hey, you know, you'd be interested to be on the show.
Usually I don't get a job that way, but I'm sure that like I probably got one or two things when I was living in California that way, because I was working in California too,
Yeah.
not as much, but I was working there as well. So I probably got something
Yeah.
through my mom at some
Well,
point. I
maybe
don't
one day
know.
you should hire her as your manager, as
Yeah,
your,
there you go.
your
I
account.
could use the help.
Yeah, I bet, man. It sounds like you got a full plate as it is. Might as well get a full
Yeah,
plate of food too while you're at
yeah, exactly.
it. You ever miss the home cooking? You
Oh yeah,
and yeah, I was gonna say
um,
answer that answer that wisely. I'm not sure if
yeah,
she's gonna watch
yeah.
this.
No, no. I do. I mean, I guess if we're talking about California in general, I definitely miss my stomping grounds, the places that I used to hang out a lot. So being in San Juan and being in San Jose, uh, but it's usually more like I like to go back for a vacation. I mean, I'm happy living here, and the cost of living is a lot
Oh
lower.
yeah, that's way better.
So yeah. So overall, like I wouldn't call myself homesick. I'm happy to be here, but I certainly miss my familiar areas of California. But I plan on being here until you know, if and when some crazy opportunity causes me to move.
Sounds like a
So
good plan, man. But hey,
yeah,
once a San Juaner, always a San Juaner, huh?
that's true. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I mean, and people, you get used to the drill. People ask, well, where are you from? And I say, well, I'm from San Juan Bautista. It's close to Monterey, by Hollister. If
Yeah.
you've ever been there, and some people know and some people don't.
Yeah, the way I found the easiest way for me is to tell people, well, because I'm from Salinas,
Yeah,
the easiest way for me to tell people is like, oh, it's about an hour from San Jose. And then most
yeah,
most of the time they're like, oh, okay, I know where that's at. And if they don't
right.
know where that's at, I'll be like, oh, an hour and a half from San Francisco. And
Yeah,
then they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Because
yeah.
you tell everyone you're from California, they just think of palm trees and the beach,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's fairly accurate. Yeah, no, I've had to explain it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and especially San Juan, because like even people here in California don't even know where San Juan is.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, oh, exactly, yeah.
I guess going back to your gigs, how long does it take for you to set up for like a gig or for your show?
Well, it depends on whether I have gear uh, that I have to bring. So the real one of the really nice things about the Mayfair gig is that I don't have to bring a setup every day. If I was doing something, say, at the lounge at the Tuscany, or something like that, then I would have to bring an axe, or rather, I that's
Yeah, I was
musician's
saying.
shorthand for that's musician's shorthand for your instrument.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, this
So
was
I
gonna
would
be
have to,
chopping down
yeah,
stuff.
no. It's a slang phrase. Um, so I would have to bring stage piano in its case, uh, maybe an amplifier unless there's going to be backline there already. Um, I keep the cables in the case too, but then so also the stand for the piano, a bench, a music stand if I need one. Um, so it takes to, I mean, it really depends. I mean, like if I have plenty of time, I can be leisurely about it, but I can probably, if I'm being really, really fast, I can't imagine it would take more than 10 minutes, but that doesn't count a sound check. So like if I'm plugging directly in the back line or anything like that, then if there's a sound guy, then he's going to want to test it and make sure that everything sounds good. So that adds, but that doesn't add too much time. So it's not too bad. It's not as bad as like drummers. Piano players and drummers typically have to lug around the most equipment, and bass players. But I think it takes longer for drummers. There's more moving parts that need to be screwed and unscrewed.
And bigger parts too,
Um,
right?
yeah, well, no, with drums, with bass, yeah, because if you're playing acoustic, you have to lug that around. But with drums, not necessarily. I would say it's a lot of parts that are like mid to small size. Whereas if it's a piano, it's one big thing,
Oh,
and
okay.
then the stands and things like that.
So, when you lug
Yeah,
this stuff around, do you have your own vehicle, like a van or something, or do you have
yeah. I
do you
have
get
I
in
have
the
my own.
Uber?
Oh, oh man, if I had to use an Uber, that would be bad. No, I have my own vehicle. I use a truck now. I wish I had a station wagon. One of these days, I'm going to buy one
A
because the
station
truck.
wagon?
Well, yeah, because it would be covered. If I could flip the back seats back and move everything back there, then it would be better. The problem with the truck is it may be really easy to use from a cartage standpoint, but it's open. So it does, contrary to what some people might think, in the desert it does rain,
Yeah. Okay.
particularly in certain months. Although we actually had like some light rain here last month, I think,
I went
or
in
the month
February
before.
to
Yeah.
Vegas and it was snowing.
Mm.
That was pretty.
Yeah. No, desert weather is very weird. So when it's raining, that because in fact I remember one time I was bringing my gear. I wasn't going to a gig. I was driving from California back to Vegas after like part of spending part of the summer in California.
Part of your vacay.
Yeah, and I had all my gear because I was moving back. The summer hadn't finished. I was moving back to do some summer school, and at UNLV for the summer dorm situation, I had to switch dorms. I couldn't stay in the same one. So I had all my stuff with me. And I remember I was somewhere, I think past Barstow, California, and the clouds opened up, and I had all my stuff in the back exposed, and there was this torrential downpour, and I'm sitting there with like a few $1,000s of equipment back there,
Jeez. Yeah.
sweating, and thankfully I didn't have to work right away, and it was both a blessing and a curse. The room that I moved into, the air conditioning on that floor wasn't working properly, so the place was hot as hell.
Oh, so I gotta
And
dry up real
but
quick.
it worked out because I moved all that stuff in and didn't use it for a while, and it sat in the hot room and just dried out. So I never had a problem with it.
So,
But you wouldn't want that to happen again all the time.
so,
So
do you
yeah.
ever do any shows outside? It sounds like you do. You do
Oh,
all
in
the
the
shows.
elements.
Yeah, cause it sounds like you're in the building, but Have you ever
Right.
done any shows outside?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, here not as much. In California, I did it all the time, and I've always hated it.
Oh,
I
okay.
much prefer to do it inside because well,
Is
I
it
mean,
because your environment is more controllable when you're inside
yeah,
than?
I mean, the main problems are going to be temperature and precipitation, or not precipitation. Usually, the problems are temperature and wind.
Oh, okay.
So in California, temperature wasn't usually a problem, although sometimes it was so cold, your
I don't
fingers
know if
would
they could
freeze
hear
up.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
and uh, uh, with wind though, if you have music that you're reading off of and it's not on your iPad, so if you're playing with a big band and there's a bunch of charts, the
Yeah.
wind becomes a real problem, and that's when the clothespins come in handy and all that jazz. I haven't had to do that for a long time, but
So you'll be on page
it
one,
becomes
and then you'll be on page four all of a sudden, and just.
oh yeah, yeah, or worse yet, like with big band arrangements, it's not like all in a bound book. It's all separate things, pages that are taped together, that you can uh, uh, fold to put back into a folder. And if it's like some lead sheets that somebody printed off at home with really really light paper, forget about it. It's going to
Yeah.
blow away. So I grew to really dislike playing outdoor, and it doesn't happen too much here, but I have done it. I've not done it very often, but I know I did. I've done one or two things at UNLV. Oh yeah, definitely at least two, probably more like three or four things at UNLV that were outside. They have this event. Um, it's called the Art Walk, where they have like different things put around that the College of Fine Arts does, and they have like some exhibits and things like that. It's all outside. It's done during one of the months where the weather cools down a little bit here.
Okay, it's not like 100
Um,
degrees.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, and they have some things are inside, but then there's a lot of things outside, and people walk around the campus, a certain part of the campus, doing it. So I've done
So
that.
it's
I've
like a
done
giant festival, kind of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's relatively modest. It's not exactly
A
Mardi
mod.
Gras,
Oh,
but
okay. In Vegas?
but yeah,
Oh,
no,
it's a
no, no.
school.
It's
It's a
well,
school. Yeah.
it's a school thing. It's mostly people's parents, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, parents get crazy too,
That's
bro.
no, 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 and that's I'm being facetious. There's more. There's plenty of people at them, but it's not something where there's hundreds of people marching down the street or something like that. It's more low key than that, which is nice. I've done some things like that. I've done student events that are outside where they wanted music, so they basically went and got in touch with the school of music and got somebody. Um, and I've probably done a few other things here and there, but mostly it's inside, particularly during the summer because it's just so beastly hot that it's just impractical to
Yeah.
do
No, that
anything
makes a
else.
lot of sense.
Yeah,
I was gonna say. So, what's the college that you go to?
I go to UNLV,
UNLV. Okay.
University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
And you
Yeah,
said sometimes they have like that little festival. Do you do other shows for the school?
yeah. Well, during a normal
Yeah,
time
I guess
of
during normal school.
human history, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, the ensembles do concerts regularly, and I did a lot of work like this in California too through education programs. But it's not uncommon for an education program or a school of music to get gigs for its student body. Um, somebody that's hiring musicians, like for parties or for events, will come to the school and say, hey, we'd like to hire some students to come play. Here's the thing. And then the school of music office arranges it. So I've gotten some gigs that way, and I get paid through the school. um, and like I said, I did that in California too, through the Monterey Jazz Festival and through SF Jazz,
Oh,
things
okay.
like
Yeah,
that when I was in middle school and high
I've
school.
heard of those right
Yeah.
there. So that's pretty cool too.
Their education programs also uh, got work for their students.
I guess where I'm
Yeah.
trying to go with this a little bit is so I'm pretty sure that I heard that well, I don't know about this year now, but the plan was for the college football team to go play in the new stadium that the Raiders have
Yes.
built, the Legion.
Yes.
I was wondering if
Yes.
were you ever gonna play there, or would you like to play there if that was a option?
I wouldn't mind it. We, as far as I know, there wasn't anything that the school had been hired to do. Although, honestly, I mean, well, the marching band probably was going to do things for the football game, but I'm not in that because it's awfully difficult to march with the piano.
Yeah, they don't
So
have any that like go around the neck and you
yeah,
could.
yeah. Well, it's like that old sketch, that old comedy bit about the guy, the cellist in the marching band who's like walking a few feet and then playing cello, putting his chair down and playing cello, and then picking it up and walking a few more feet.
You don't have a
Um,
designated piano
no,
holder or carrier.
no, that would be funny. Well, you probably need two, one on each
Yeah.
side. That actually might work, but it would be awfully demeaning for the people who had to carry the piano.
Hey, part of the show.
Um, yeah, that's true. If they were dressed up. I had not been signed up to do anything there, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, it would probably not end up being anything on the field unless like the big band was
Uh,
hired to play the Star Spangled
the,
Banner or
the
something
field
like that.
actually it slides out the turf,
Yeah,
so I'm assuming they would
yeah,
probably have it like on whatever concert they were doing there, whatever event. So
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I mean, they're not going to really, have people in there for the first
Yeah,
football
yeah.
season, and I
Actually,
and I know that. Yeah,
no Raider fans are allowed in there either. Like,
yeah, and the UNLV football team, I think, is only playing half its home games there anyway.
uh,
I think they're doing half there and they're half at Sam Boyd, which is the old field.
yeah, I'm surprised that
So
they even have any college games going on. I kind of like I figured with college with so many people like going in and out and like just a lot of people in college like to party too. I was kind
well, I
of
imagine I imagine that if they hold those games, they won't let people in, similarly to the Raiders. And I wouldn't be surprised if the season got canceled.
yeah.
I know that there's already some programs, football, baseball, things like that are already saying no, we're not gonna play until things have lightened up a little bit. So it wouldn't surprise me if they cancel, but I don't really know. I don't have any insider
Yeah, no,
information on
it's
that.
fine, man. I'm sorry. I got this football stuff here, so you kind
Oh, no, no,
of.
no, no. It's
I'm
interesting.
not
Yeah.
sure if you're too much into sports, but
No, I like sports. Yeah.
oh, okay, that's cool.
I would definitely say yes.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before I go into, I guess the topic we're at before, what's your favorite sports team?
San Francisco Giants.
Oh, okay. I heard San
Yeah.
Francisco, and I was like, oh, what's the other part of that?
Well. I mean, it's gonna be bad all the way down, man. So you
Oh,
don't want to
okay.
ask me for the rest of the sports.
Well, there is no San Francisco football team, so that's okay. That's okay on that part.
well, I guess they're Santa Clara now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing with you. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's go back to the equipment that you were using.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's the first equipment that you started using? Do you
Oh
remember?
geez.
I'm
Um.
not talking about like a little kid, when you're like you get my first little piano.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. I was about to go there. But the first serious equipment. Well, I had um an upright that my neighbor gave us, that we actually still have in California. And then I also got I also got a Yamaha. I don't remember what the make and model is. Well, obviously
Yep,
it's made by
Yamaha
Yamaha,
works
but I
fine.
but I don't remember what the model keyboard is.
You can't remember like
Um,
SM1008.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
just
can't
messing.
remember. It was not. It wasn't like a stage piano like for professional use on gigs, but it was 88 weighted keys, and it served me well for a while, and I gigged with that one a lot.
Was it an
And
electric
then
piano or was?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
makes
it's
sense.
a it's an electric keyboard. And then I got to a point where excuse me, I was working enough that I got a good stage piano, a good electric keyboard to take around, which is that I still have. It's also a Yamaha. It's a CP4.
You have that in your room right
And
now?
not in this room.
Ah,
This room's a
terrible.
mess. I ain't showing you
Nah, that's
anything.
fine. You don't gotta show. The people
But
don't want to
it's
see
in a different room.
it.
Yeah, it's in a different room.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have it set up right now because I've actually got to take it into the shop and have something fixed on it.
Oh, dang, you be
But
jamming hard, huh?
well, it's not that, it's that I've had it for quite a while now, and it's experienced some natural wear and tear over the years, and it's gotten to a point now where it really needs to have a few things fixed.
It's been through some
Um,
rain too, so I can.
it's been through some
I
rain,
can
so
see
yeah, it
that.
might. I don't know. I mean, that was I think a couple of years ago, but who knows? Maybe it's still waterlogged. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that I have I need to upgrade my amplifier. Actually, I have a Behringer. It's not great, but it's gotten the job done for a long time.
Oh, okay, I've
Um,
heard of
I've
Behringer.
actually, yeah, yeah, that's actually the only amp I've ever had. So I've had it for a really, really long time. Um, and then and trying to think of like anything else. So yeah, the first thing is that Yamaha keyboard. And I mean, other than the keyboards and the amplifier, it's all very, very uninteresting. Just
Yeah.
benches and stands, and I've swapped those in and out over the years.
So the
You know.
reason I asked is I'm me personally. I mean, obviously it looks like I know a lot about music, but but for the people that are watching that are like into music, like in your business or industry,
Yeah.
maybe they'll be like, oh, you know what, I started on that, or hey, you know what, I remember my
Oh
friend had
yeah,
one of
yeah,
those. So
yeah. I wish I could remember what the
no,
model of the first Yamaha I had was.
no, it's fine,
The
man.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
Behringer,
yeah.
Behringer, I heard of them because I just recently got this mic, and
Right. Yeah.
I was looking at the Behringer microphones too because they're similar quality at similar price range.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so I kind of
Yeah. No,
I'm kind
they
of
make some pretty good stuff. I mean, the one that I've got is the amplifier that I've got is really low end. And I've been meaning to upgrade it for years, literally years. But I've just never gotten around to it.
hey, if it still
And
works
now
then.
it's yeah. Well, it still works, and the thing is that now I don't really freelance as much anymore. Most of the things that I do, I don't. Thank God, I don't have to bring gear around as much.
So
So,
I
yeah.
can't find you like on the Fremont Strip or whatever, just playing the piano
No,
on your
well,
phone.
on Fremont Street. No, I don't. Have I ever worked on Fremont Street? Well, technically I have, but I've never. I've not done a lot of work downtown. I've gambled downtown,
All right, was
if
that good
that
or
means
bad?
anything. But well, it's good. I haven't. I never play with my lunch money.
Oh, okay.
Um.
Someone else's lunch money, huh?
Well, no, I would go that far, uh, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I mean, Bellagio. The Bellagio's on the Strip, so I'm there a lot.
Yeah, no, that
But
makes
no,
sense.
I actually haven't done a lot downtown. I have friends that have done a lot of work downtown, but I've not been one of those people.
Yeah, normally when I go, well, when I go, I don't go there often, but when I have gone there, I see like a guy with a bucket just playing, going ham on the drums,
Oh, that, yeah, yeah, yeah.
or his
No,
son.
I haven't gone and done any busking down there. No, no, but yeah, those cats are crazy. Yeah,
I guess.
some of those guys are really good
No,
too.
yeah, it's pretty insane how they do all that stuff. I guess if
Yeah.
worst comes to worst, maybe maybe that's a viable option too,
If I, yeah,
huh?
I mean, honestly, like half the town might be down there right now because so many of the showrooms are shut. But
Hey,
yeah,
hey, who's big time now, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess since we're talking about different, different venues you do and stuff and different shows, what would be a good reason to tell someone to go to your show or to your gig?
Oh yeah. Well, it's an exciting style of music, and you get a variety of things. It's not just jazz. There's pop things, reimagined pop things in there. Um, the singers are excellent. They really know their stuff, and they know their craft. The band is. I mean, I can't speak for myself, but my bandmates are top notch. Um, it's music where we try to do something with it that's interesting every night, so that it's not merely just some sort of thing. Because I mean, there's people eating all around, so I'm sure some people just take it as background music, which is totally fine. That's their privilege. Um,
Do they got good
but
food?
it's Oh yeah, oh absolutely. The food's excellent. Really, it's a 5-star establishment. They do everything. With the ambiance is wonderful. The food's wonderful.
Do you get free food?
Um, no, we get a discount,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've actually not eaten there yet. But what I hear from people is that it's great.
Oh, wow.
But
That's
I never really have the time to go in there and experience it from the other side.
Bellagio.
Uh,
Or who owns Bellagio? Is it MGM or is it someone else?
it's MGM.
MGM.
Yeah.
All right, MGM. On the next contract, he wants a free meal for every show he does. We're gonna go ahead and shut that out.
I should have you along in the negotiation.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. We'll go ahead and two free meals, one for him, one for me.
Yeah.
So So it sounds like the environment there is pretty good. That's a good reason
Yeah.
to go.
Oh no, yeah. It's really a fun experience. You go in and it's not, it's a very energetic evening. Particularly on the busiest nights when there's lots of, I mean it's that there's people in there all the time. But yeah, no, it really is a fun feeling. It's a fun night to have out. So
The
and you
energy is
get
just
dinner
banging.
and a show.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the good thing about the Bellagio too. So I don't know if this is everyone's Vegas experience, but my Vegas experience is I'm kind of drunk throughout the whole time. Different levels, different levels when I'm there. But
Yeah.
if to anyone that's been to Vegas, you have to know like the Bellagio. They have the fountains that shoot out.
Yep.
So you get a how long did you say your shows last normally?
Well, right now, the schedule that we're running right now, I start up at 5:30, and then there's regular breaks, but we go till at least 10:30 ish.
So like a 5 hour
Sometimes a
shift.
little, sometimes a little bit longer, but I mean, again, there's breaks.
Yeah.
And the usual routine is like half an hour on, half an hour off, except for the first thing at 5:30. That's just 15 minutes.
Okay. Quick little
And
warm up,
then
huh?
yeah, yeah. And then sometimes on Friday, Saturday it goes a little bit long. Although I get off work at around the same time
Okay.
every night. But sometimes on Friday and Saturday they go a little bit longer after I finish up.
Sometimes you
Just
guys
just by
improvise
just by
too,
a little
right?
bit. Um, we run the same set list, and that's predetermined.
You
But
never have a piano solo or anything all crazy, just
well, no, we do. We improvise within the confines of set.
okay.
So there are delegated solos, so I get to improvise throughout the night. But the set list of songs that we're going to do is the same. So it's not all written out note by note. Like we have freedom within the framework, but we have certain songs, and that gets changed. The songs get changed out occasionally for some fresh things
Okay, no,
to
that's
keep it
good.
to keep it uh, to keep it fresh.
Yeah, to keep it fresh, and then for you too, so you don't get bored just doing the same thing
Right,
over and over, right?
right.
Um, well, I guess whenever I'm in Vegas, I'm gonna have to go and stop by there.
Yeah, no, I would encourage anyone to do it. It's really a fun experience.
Do I get a backstage
And
pass?
yeah, I don't know. I'll have to ask my bosses.
Okay, yeah. Just tell them you need two the next time I go, and then
Yeah, I just need to. Yeah.
you'll get that kind of pool soon if you don't have it yet. Don't worry. um, well, let's see. So you said the environment was good. You said you've been to different events, like with your college, and then here in Cali. Have you won any awards or anything like that?
Yeah, I
At
have.
anything you have been to?
Yeah. Won. I've won a few here and there. I tend not to. I prefer not to like have them hung up on my walls and things like that. I
I
I
could
I,
see.
I keep I hold on to them, of course, but I don't really like to uh, trumpet them unless I'm writing my resume or something like that.
Okay.
I've won a couple downbeat student music awards. I got one for best improvised solo a few years back, and my trio, my the trio. I say my trio. It's not my trio. It's the honors trio here at UNLV. We won the Downbeat Student Music Award. Um, I believe it was for. I think it was like best small group performance or something like that.
So,
Um,
when you say to put them on your resume, do you mean like you just walk up to the desk during the interview and just drop them on there? Are you wearing
well,
like
I say resume, but typically
are you wearing like five medals around your neck as you walk in?
no. Typically, what that means is if I'm writing a bio for something that requires a bio, then I'll put it in there.
Okay.
But I usually don't. You don't actually have to give people resumes for jobs here. Like if it's a freelance thing, you'll get hired if you have a good rep. And if you're, the non-musical things about you, like being on time and things like that, are sound. But uh, uh, usually you don't actually have like an actual resume that you go, hey, here's my resume. Don't call us, we'll call you. Stuff like that usually doesn't happen, but there are bios that have to be written
Oh,
sometimes for
okay.
for certain kinds of work.
So no business cards. You're not like the.
I do have business cards.
Oh, okay.
That's actually very important because if somebody says, "Hey, you're fantastic. I'm a local singer. I really enjoyed the gig tonight. I'd like to hire you for something. Do you have a card?" And then you can give them your card, and then when they want to get in touch with you and send you a text or an email, then they can. So
Okay.
business cards are very important.
So I guess I'm gonna
Um,
start making business cards too then. So.
no, I mean it's pretty cheap to do, and it's so much easier than saying, oh well, here, let me, give me your phone for a second, and I'll put my number in or my email. Like, you can just hand people a card.
Yeah.
It's
No,
easy.
that's true. He's a
Yeah, it's
busy
it's
man.
really not. Yeah, it's really not something that's out of date yet. So it's if you're in an industry where you have a lot of that kind of things, like if you're doing any sort of freelance work, it's important. Honestly, it's important in other industries too. Like if you're, a marketing executive and you're meeting people that you need to be in contact with, then it's good to have a business card. So it's a good idea to have a card.
Okay. I'm gonna keep that in mind because like I said,
Yeah,
I'm still kind of
yeah,
new to this too. So any
sure.
business advice that
No, yeah.
people have,
Well,
I'm gonna go ahead and write that down
I
too.
I used I used Vistaprint. I swear I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. This isn't a
Okay.
come on where I'm going to earn some sort of commission.
Use
I'm just
code PH20 and get
use
20%.
code PH20 for 30% off. No, no, nothing like that. They were who I used. They did good work. I have a whole mess of them, in a couple of boxes somewhere that I haven't used. I actually might update them. I'm not even sure I'm going to use the ones that I've got here because I might need to update
That's the
the
old Patrick
byline.
Hogan. This is a new Patrick Hogan.
Well, I don't. Well, the thing is, at right this second, I don't have a standalone website up, but that's one of the things that's going to change in the coming months. So once that's up and running, I'll probably want to have cards that have the URL on there.
Oh,
So
okay. So
I'll
that's
need
not
to
gonna get
change it at
shared
some
at the
point.
end with the social media links.
Well, no, no, I wish, but I will give people my social media. And honestly, like if you're following the social media, then when the website is up, then you'll know
Oh,
because
okay. That's
I'll
pretty
put
cool.
something up about it. Yeah,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah.
So before I get to the funner questions, because these have been pretty hard on you,
I'm
um,
sweating.
how do you feel being a musician in Las Vegas is compared to being a musician elsewhere? Do you feel that you have better chances, or do you feel that it's just a funner environment?
So what I tell musician friends of mine who are thinking of coming to school here or coming to work here is, well, okay, first of all, the disclaimer is nobody knows what the hell the business is going to be like going forward because of the virus, and the way that the economy has been hit. Nobody knows when, uh, you know, full capacity audiences are going to be a thing again, like showrooms where everybody's sitting. Well, it's the same thing with movie theaters. Like nobody knows when exactly movie theaters are going to return to normal.
If they
So
return.
that's if they return,
Yeah.
and so that's the caveat. But what I would tell people before this was that it's a fun place to be. There's a lot of work, but you have to be prepared for the type of work that it is. So if you're a straight ahead jazz musician who just wants to play a particular kind of gig, New York or Los Angeles would be a better option. And they're valid options for any musician, really.
All right.
But you know, when you come and you know that you're going to be doing, some stuff that's rewarding, some stuff that is more commercial, some some fun stuff, and then some stuff that's going to be more like paying the bills, then you won't necessarily be disappointed or surprised. Now, I'm fortunate enough that the regular gig I have is both something that pays my bills and it's fun. It's not quite the same as your typical instrumental jazz gig, of course, but there's plenty of room for creativity. So it's a good gig to have. But it's, it's still, as a music hub, it's not, Las Vegas is not what it used to be in decades past, because it used to be even better.
Yeah, with
There
the
was an
mobsters or
orchestra.
what?
What was that?
I said with the mobsters or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not that the mafia is a co-requisite for this, but I mean, they had bands in every showroom, and you could have that without the mafia. This is not an endorsement of the mafia.
Yeah,
That's
no.
the
Okay.
point. But they had bands in every showroom, orchestras in every showroom for a long time. There was more than enough work for plenty of musicians. And at a certain point, the orchestras and the regular showroom bands kind of went away, and some things died out. So it's not quite what it used to be, but it's still one of the pre-COVID. It was still one of the more work plentiful places around, especially if you eliminate New York and Los Angeles from the discussion.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, those are the music hubs of the country. And then Las Vegas is certainly like I would say in the next tier down.
Maybe
I mean,
live shows and
yeah,
stuff too, right? Like when you consider live shows.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would say so. I mean, honestly, there's more work here than there is in like San Francisco.
Yeah.
In my experience. So I'm
If you
trying to
could
think of like another.
if you could pick between Los Angeles or New York, where would it be that you would want to go play at if you had like a maybe
A
let's
few
say they
years,
gave you like two or
yeah,
3 weeks to play at?
yeah. A few years back, I would have said New York, but now I would say LA because I think it's, well, oh, if it was like for 2 or 3 weeks, oh, that's a good question. Probably still LA because a lot of what my personal thing is now, like my personal music that I do, like when it's my gig and I'm calling the shots,
Pretty
I
much
do
your
a
own
lot of singing.
career, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For my own career, like the singing thing has become so important to me now that I feel like LA might be slightly better for it. Although honestly, like it would be fine either way. There's plenty. It's not like there's no singing in New York. That's not my point. But
Hey, this is
probably
personal choice,
L.A.
man. So
Yeah,
either
probably L.A.
answers.
But honestly, either one. New York's a wonderful place. I haven't been to New York. I have been to L.A. Probably Los Angeles, but it's
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to choose, because everyone cares about what I have to choose.
No, I care.
Alright. If I had to choose, I'd probably pick LA too. If I had to spend 2 to 3 weeks
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe after a week in New York, I'd probably get tired of the whole New York like environment, just because
Right.
I'm not a big concrete jungle kind of guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I probably would enjoy
LA, you
like
got the beaches. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, LA, you
LA,
got
you've got the
beaches.
beaches.
I thought you
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
peaches. I was like, oh, well, dang.
No, that's a different state. I think that's Georgia, isn't it?
So yeah, I guess we're California guys, huh? When it comes
Yeah.
down to it. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, shoot, like you said, either or would be awesome. Would you ever play in Mexico?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. I'd
Yeah.
I'd really like to visit Mexico. Actually, I've never been, but I'd love to visit.
I've-
I there's not too many countries on the planet that I would like not go to.
yeah, no, that's
you
true.
know. Yeah. So but oh no, Mexico. I would say Mexico is actually like on my short list of places to visit.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
two reasons I say Mexico. One, I'm Hispanic, so it comes to my
Right.
head. And then two,
Of
it's
course.
really close to us. Well,
Right.
Vegas, Nevada, and then California is
Right.
just like right there. So,
Right.
it'd be kind of cool one day to see that you get to do that too. Um, I'll be following your career because you gave me the
Well,
time
thank
to
you.
be on my show. It's
Oh, it's a
not
pleasure.
it's not over yet. We got a little bit more.
I'm
But
not running anywhere.
okay, yeah. I'm never sure how much time people have. If you tell me before time, like, hey, I only got an hour. I got 30 minutes. I got an hour and a half. I could go by
Sure.
that. But since we both have free time right now, I mean, let's keep this thing going.
Sure.
So
Why not?
so I'm done grilling you. You can take a quick breather. Um, I guess if I have to ask you some fun questions, What would you say your favorite song is?
My favorite song.
And I know that's
I
not
didn't.
fair.
Well, it's funny because I used to insist that I didn't have a proper answer for that. That I had more like a list of favorites.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to just
But
choose.
but now I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be "I've Got You Under My Skin." I think it's kind of like the perfect song. It's dramatic. I think it's a relatable lyric. Uh,
You've performed that, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
have.
I'm pretty sure I heard that.
Yeah, I actually, you know, I don't know how much I want to do it. I feel like the book has been written already on it, so to speak. But I'll probably end up working it into my repertoire. Yeah, no, I've definitely performed it before. I'm fond of it. So,
Unfortunately,
obviously, yeah.
I wanted to play like at least one of those clips, one of your YouTube clips, just so
Which
people.
one is it?
Well, I was just gonna have like probably like three of them, and then if you said the song right now, I would have just clicked on that video and had it play. But
Well,
since
let's hear what the three choices are.
man, you got me under.
Beat.
Yeah, now I gotta look up real quick my history. So they would have been let's see, quick search real quick. I'm not looking at the exact because I like I said I listened to a couple of them. There was one that you were in a group. There was one there was like five of them that you were playing with. See, I feel bad because I
Right.
don't even got their names down. Hold.
That's fine.
The whole reason I didn't have them on here is because the copyright issue. We're live on YouTube right
Oh
now,
yeah.
so I didn't know if that was gonna be an issue. Oh look, I
Well,
typed in Pat.
they're probably standards because I don't think that there's too many videos out there of me doing mine.
So the
So
the ones I
yeah.
was gonna have was the someone to watch over me. That was the one with the.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah.
The other one I heard from you was well from you guys, you and Carmine, right? That's how do you.
Yeah. He's somebody that I've worked for in the past. Good guy. Yeah.
Okay, so the ones I heard were you want to go ahead and say his name because I feel bad just saying him.
Carmine Mandia.
Carmen Mindia. So Sway, that's another one I heard
Uh-huh.
from you guys. And then which one did you say? I only have eyes for you.
Oh, that one's not too bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
I
think
was.
that there was one. Yeah, I think there was one of me doing Unforgettable up there that wasn't too bad. I just remembered that.
Yeah, that one's on here, but
Um,
those were the three I was gonna pick and have here, and then probably
sure.
play them.
Yeah,
But the whole reason I'm not gonna do that, unfortunately, is because it's copyright.
of copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be quite the same as playing some recording off of a released album,
Yeah.
but I've been trying to figure out exactly what the rules is for that myself. You might be fine, but best not to chance it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, YouTube is kind of crazy.
Like
I've been look.
Twitch.
Yeah. Actually, you're live on Twitch right now too.
Oh, great.
No pressure though. No pressure. Yeah, I'm broadcasting this on. Technically, I'm not even supposed to be doing that either. Simultaneously streaming, but
Well, I hope I didn't just get you banned.
nah, it's fine. I haven't gone affiliate under any of them, so
Okay.
technically there's no exclusivity rights. But
Right.
once I get a bigger fan base on either one, they might have a bigger issue. So
Right.
so we'll
Right.
see how that goes. But um, yeah, we said favorite song. I was gonna ask you what's your favorite song to play, but it's it was literally the same.
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah. I would say I've got you under my skin. I think that's sort of like the perfect song. So
Okay, so I guess
yeah.
I didn't get the right song. That would have been.
No, it's fine. I don't think that there's a recording of me doing that up there.
Okay. Why not? Just cause.
Uh, a lot of the stuff that is of me up on YouTube is stuff that people have just taken on a gig.
Oh, okay.
I haven't got stuff up there that I specifically had shot and edited. That's coming.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, like that's one of the things that we're doing at the end of the month. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that you'll find of me, like the stuff like records under my name, videos especially shot and edited, stuff like that is like in the planning phase.
Yeah. No, I get it, man.
So
Especially since you're so
yeah,
busy.
yeah, that's the thing. Like on the one hand, it's good that like I'm working and I have the money to be able to afford to do some of these things, but also it's a time factor. And plus with the virus, like some of the studios are shut. It's more difficult to get certain things together.
You
It's a
can't. Yeah.
process.
You can't really be in a studio right now, technically. I don't know how it is
Yeah.
in Vegas.
Well, you can be in a studio, but you can't. You can't have too many people in there.
Oh,
Some of the
okay.
studios are open for business, but
Yeah, here in California, everything went back to being super strict, so it's
right?
pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
we have some things open here, but there's still social distancing and mask rules and all that jazz. So
So, I guess so. You said Seth MacFarlane would probably be one of the people that you would like to join, like not just under like
to
their,
work for,
yeah,
yeah,
to work
yeah.
for. Who would you say that your favorite musician would be?
Period.
Yeah, period.
Living or dead.
Um, either or whatever. If you had to just pick one to, I guess, to either listen to or
I'll pick
to.
one on each of my instruments,
Oh, okay,
vocal
perfect.
and piano.
You can't pick me.
Uh, for piano, it's probably Ahmad Jamal. Actually, he hasn't been the principal influence on me, but he's probably my favorite. If you want to check him out, he did a very famous recording in the late 1950s called Ahmad Jamal Live at the Pershing, but not for me.
Okay.
He's my favorite piano player. He's very unique. He has a sort of an almost like minimalist approach. It's very motivic, melodic. It's inventive. He has a very unique sound, and he there's a catchiness to what he does. A lot of his rhythms are very interesting. Um, for vocals, it's definitely Frank Sinatra. He really was the main inspiration towards adding the vocals to my uh, list of things I can do to my bag of tricks. Um,
Pretty much to your resume,
he's
right?
Yeah, to my resume, to my bio. He's a master of phrasing. I admire his attention to detail, his attention to a lyric and conveying what the lyric means emotionally and psychologically. Uh, and his
Someone
music
wanted
feels good.
you to give us a Frank Sinatra impression.
A Frank Sinatra impression. Wow. I can't do an impression of his voice because nobody really.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
that's
got
not true.
insane
I think.
vocals.
I've met some people who do a pretty good job, but I think his the timbre of his voice is very difficult to approximate. But like I mean, if you want me to demonstrate like something like that, I mean, from a phrasing standpoint, the way that he would phrase a song can be replicated, even if the timbre of his voice can't be done. So, like if Sinatra, let me turn a light on. It's gonna be dark.
Okay, for sure.
If Sinatra uh,
Turn on the light.
was
Look in the
yeah,
spotlight.
there we go. Now I'm in the spotlight. That's perfect timing. Um, if he was doing a song like All the Things You Are is a standard that's been done many times. And usually standards, when they're written down in fake books, the compendiums of these things, they're usually written down intentionally very simply, like the most basic form of them, so that then you can build off of that
So you can
instead of
interpret
having to
it
go
your
off.
way, right?
Yeah, you can interpret it in your manner. So like the original All the Things You Are is like the first eight bars are like really simple, like you are the promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. Really simple, and so Sinatra's approach was more like if he was doing it, it would probably be phrased more like, okay, so it would probably be like he would probably have like a medium swing thing about here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You are the promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. So he would play around with it a little bit. And oh, thank you so much. I'll be here all night, ladies and
Everybody
gentlemen.
tip this man.
That's the best. That's the best impression I can do of his phrasing, but I can't really do his voice because it's too idiosyncratic.
Pretty much what he's saying is it's too unique. Remember,
Yeah, I broke out the thesaurus for that.
yeah, no, that's too crazy. And for the people that don't know what thesaurus is, no, I'm just messing. So, if you could, play with someone or just have like a, even if it's not recorded or anything, just a random jam session, would it be Frank Sinatra as well, or would that
Yeah,
answer be
probably if
different?
I was sort of picking a dream team of dead people
Yeah,
or living
many
people.
people. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have worked with him. There's any number of musicians that I would have liked to have been able to work with. So Oscar Peterson's another piano player that I admire. It would have been nice to have been able to
it's
work with
kind
his
of
bass player and drummer.
it's kind of sad, huh? That like you hear all these great talents and you kind of realize that like all I get to hear and see is through like recordings. I'll never get to see
Yeah.
this person
Well,
live.
yeah, it is sad, but at the same time, I mean, that's kind of the natural order of things. I
Yeah,
mean, great artists come and go. People were probably saying the same thing in the 1800s about Mozart.
yeah, that's true.
Oh, wouldn't it have been great to have been able to meet Mozart and hear him conduct his a symphony of his live.
Yeah,
So it is sad, but it's kind of the natural order of things, and
no, of course.
all you can do is enjoy who you have at the time.
That's true.
Um,
Like someone
yeah,
named Patrick Hogan or someone named Jerry Reese. go,
exactly. Yes,
go ahead
yes.
and
Enjoy us while you can,
yeah,
people. Come on.
give us the flowers now before we're
Yeah, give
gone.
us the flowers now. Yeah,
All right. Well, like I said, I was kind of hoping you'd pick me as a jam session, but whatever.
I'll throw you in there.
No,
Why
I was just
not?
kidding. They don't want to
This will
hear
be
me. The
fun.
people don't want to hear me. um, so, since we talked about who you would like to play with, have you met any celebrities over there, or is there any famous people?
I have met a few people here and there, but the funny thing is that I don't. This is going to sound really weird, but I don't always have a great memory for these things. Like
Okay.
a lot of the things that I do, it's weird to me the things that my memory picks out and remembers. I was fortunate enough to work for Wayne Newton, who's known as Mr. Las Vegas. He's been working here since, oh man, the late 1950s. And people might people probably know Donkashing, which was his big hit and claim to fame, and it still gets played in restaurants. Um, and I've met some people in the jazz scene. I've met Ambrose Akinmusire. I've met Joe Lovano. I've met
Go
uh,
ahead and name drop all you
uh,
want, bro.
yeah, I've met Joshua Redman. I shook hands with Herbie Hancock once. I've met some other people, but I've not met Brad Pitt or you know
You haven't met Brad Pitt,
Drake or
bro?
anything like that. I haven't met
Dude,
either of
me and
those
Brad.
guys,
No,
but
just.
we're tight, man. We're
Yeah,
tight. Yeah.
we play. We have the same racket club. We go play racquetball together.
You play Scrabble every week.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Brad Pitt. If you're ever in Vegas, go catch one of Patrick Hogan's shows.
Yeah.
um, did you? Well, I guess since we're speaking of celebrities, and people would say like, being Brad Pitt, they'd like to be him one day or something. Did you think you'd be doing this for a living when you were younger?
Not before I took up an instrument, but when I took an instrument up, I became pretty determined, and I had a healthy attitude about it early on. I knew that it would be tough, but I also knew that I really wanted to do it, so it wouldn't come as a shock to me.
Okay.
What I would be surprised about, if you had told me, like, in the first few years that I was playing piano, what I would be surprised about is if you told me, well, I also sing on my jobs a lot of the time now. That I wouldn't have expected.
So,
Although
so
yeah,
right
go
now,
ahead.
it seems like so you're really good at the piano, and you said you don't need practice, but it seems like right now the
Well, well, I wouldn't go that far, but
okay.
I'm able to get by without doing it.
Okay, so it seems like the creative side of you is going towards more the singing, since that's a little more of a challenge, right?
Um, in a way, um, I wouldn't say that like I'm trying to totally de-emphasize piano because I'm always going to keep doing that.
Yeah, no, that's gonna
But
be
I
the
would say
background.
that I would say that the my focus is more divided than it used to be.
Do you feel
And
that since it is more challenging, since it's not something that you've
I
been
was
doing?
trained for.
Yeah. Do you feel
Yeah.
like that encourages you to get better at it more and more?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's the
Oh,
big
absolutely.
motivator.
I tend to be a perfectionist anyway. I tend to be my biggest critic, and I'm sure I have plenty of other critics, but I tend to be my most difficult, picky listener and critic. So uh, I'm never truly satisfied. I think that the paradox of being a pro musician is that you never really get satisfied with anything, but at the same time, you want to be proud enough of something that you can, if it's a recording, you can release it. If it's a composition, you can perform it. If it's, a performance, you can say, okay, I did my job tonight.
If it's a podcast,
So if it's a podcast, you can say, I didn't trip over my words too much. And,
or have
so,
technical difficulties.
or, well, these things happen.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you know, uh, you always have to walk this tightrope between, on the other hand, because like if all you said was, geez, I hate the way I sound, it's never enough. Like if that was all you said, then your audience might be, some people in your audience might be thinking, well, come on, why should I listen to what you're doing if you think it's trash?
That's true.
So I'm not so dissatisfied that like if I'm like putting a recording out there or something like that, or singing a tune that I wrote, I'm pleased enough with it that I feel like it's presentable, but I'm never truly 100% satisfied with it.
No,
Like
I get.
it could always be improved upon.
There's always room for improvement, is
Yes,
what you're saying.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And since you said that you're probably your toughest critic, has there been any tough crowds that you've had to play for or anything, or has it all pretty much been smooth sailing?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had people like booing and throwing baskets of vegetables at me.
Okay. What about
The
beer
most
bottles?
difficult, or beer bottles, or
Or plastic
ice or
cups?
something, or plastic cups. No, the most difficult thing usually from an audience perspective is just audiences that are they're just not responsive. They just don't really care. They're not really, you know, there's, if you're playing in a restaurant somewhere and nobody's applauding or doing anything like that, they're really paying no attention to you. That's usually the most difficult thing you have to deal with, and it's easier to deal with than like a hostile audience, but it's a drag because I mean one of the reasons why we do what we do is to entertain people, to basically give cool things that we think are cool to people.
You hear that, everyone
And
watching this live? We do this for you.
yeah, yeah, no, I mean exactly, like if I didn't enjoy sharing music that I think is cool with other people on as wide a scale as I can, I probably wouldn't do this professionally, even though music is so much a part of my psyche, because the non-music aspect, honestly, all aspects of the business are so difficult and can be so cutthroat that it really has to be worth it from you, from an artistic and from an entertainment standpoint, if you're going to do this as a job. Because if
Otherwise,
all
it'd be
you,
depressing, right?
well, yeah, because otherwise, if you really didn't enjoy it as much, you didn't give a damn about all that, then it wouldn't be worth it. Like if all you really cared about was writing some tunes and like showing them to your friends or to very, very, very small groups of people, then you could do this as an amateur and you could go get a job as an accountant or something like that. That's more quote unquote stable. Um, but when you really have the love for it and you've got to be doing it and you really want to share it with as many people as possible, then it becomes a viable career.
Okay. No, that sounds good, man. Well, I guess since you're kind of giving advice to people, um, I guess what's some advice you'd give to someone, either trying to get in the music industry or trying to start their own business or trying to just get on their own feet towards a certain goal they
Okay,
want?
so music business. It depends. I guess it kind of depends on what genre we're talking about, but you need to be really serious about listening to a lot of music. It's good to listen to like a variety of genres and all that jazz, but um, you especially need to, like, if there's a specific genre that you're focusing on, which I think is a smart idea to start with. You shouldn't try to do too much at once. Um, Listen to a lot of that. Try to learn things from it. Try to build up your ear. Um, there's some people who try to do this for a career and they're really not listening to much music at all. Uh, to them, I would say, "What are you doing?" That's honestly as important as practicing. Seriously, especially in jazz. Um, Set aside I'm lucky enough that like I've been doing this. I'm 24 now, and I've been doing this for like over half of my life, which is not nearly as long as some people around here that have been working this job for 30, 40 years, but it's been a while for me. So I've been fortunate enough that I've done a lot of practicing, and I work enough consistently where I'm playing where I don't have to have the same regimented practice sessions. But if you're starting, you need to be doing that. You need to be saying, I'm going to set aside an hour or two a day, and I'm going to practice seriously, and maybe give yourself a day off, once a week or something like that. When it comes to the business, it really depends on the genre. Because for jazz, like if you want to start breaking into things, then like you go to jam sessions or you go to school to make connections. You have to like get your name out there. With other music, it's slightly different, but like with any music, you can probably put bands together, full of like-minded people. It's really easy to find people online now. They won't always be great, but at least you can find them. Just start doing things.
All right, all right.
If you've only taken 2 piano lessons, I suggest you cool it and wait to start working. But start playing with other people. It'll make you better. For being in business, the only thing I've ever done is music, but I have had to, kind of like we talked about before, I act as my own agent and manager at this stage in my life, and I have for most of my career, with the exception of like, I guess that like, in the case of like education programs getting me gigs, that's sort of like having an agency getting work for you. But it's not like I've ever done that exclusively. So the watchwords, the things you always have to watch in music are, be prompt to things. Don't show up late to things. Show up early. Especially if you're a freelancer. Nobody likes late people. Some jobs
Sorry about
have.
that.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
I said sorry about that.
Oh, no. That's you had technical difficulties. Like obviously, like in the music business, like if I if something beyond my control happens and I end up being late to the gig, then if I'm communicating to people, hey, this is happening, I'm going to be a little bit late. And if I have a prior track record of being very much on time to things, not going to make too much of a difference. People won't blackball me for that. But if you are in the music business, especially, if you are routinely late to things, it doesn't matter how good you play. People just won't hire you. They'll say, well, he can't be relied on. He's a flake.
You can't just say you're a rock star doing rock star
No,
things.
yeah, I mean, even the only people in music who can kind of sort of get away with that are like mega stars, and
Yeah,
even then, like, it's disrespectful, and you will lose people doing that.
that's true. I've been to
There have
concerts
been.
where I've probably waited multiple hours. The DJ was just going ham, just
Yeah,
mixing different
exactly.
songs,
Yeah,
and
no,
then
yeah. Nobody likes those guys. Those guys get away with it for some reason. Well, not for some reason. It's because they're big and they've got, they're making a gang of money
and
anyway.
people already paid to see them, so they're gonna stick through it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But yeah, but don't be those people. And the other thing is that like the reason they get away with it is because of their status. So it's still wrong, but it's
they're
they get away with it because of where they are in the
they're
business.
already established.
Yeah, they're already established. But when you don't have that luxury, it's especially important. Um, this is all really really obvious stuff, but be good at dealing with people on an interpersonal level. Be, the polite and courteous jazz is going to get you far, even when it's people that you don't really think are that important. In the music business, there's often this temptation, like, people come up to you at the end of a very, very long day, and they say, oh, I really love the way you play. And there's this sort of temptation to sort of like brush them off because you're tired and want to get off, but you can't do that. It's just not the right thing to do. They're expressing their appreciation for you, and without them, there's no gig. So it's just the right thing to do anyway, to be polite to them and engage with them. Although with COVID, it's different because of social distancing and things like that. I'm talking about normally. But the other thing is that like not only is it just the right thing to do anyway, but you never know, because that person might get you another job. Word of mouth is important.
Yes, sir. You
And I'm
never know
sure
who's
that
connected, right?
exactly, yeah. I mean, that has been borne out to me as well. Cases where something like that, somebody that I met on a gig got me something good. I'm terrible with procrastination and things like that, probably because I have a good schedule, so I don't really feel like I can preach on that in good conscience. But be improving yourself. Don't waste too much time. If you're a really busy person, then you have a license to get away with a certain amount of, blowing off steam and relaxing with a movie or a video game or something like that.
But still try to find time, right?
Something like that. Yeah, still try to find time, but you have to earn that.
Yeah.
If a week goes by, unless it was a week vacation that you had because you've been working hard, but if a week goes by and you feel like, well, I went into work, but other than that, I just kind of did nothing. Well, then that's a week wasted. So be improving yourself somehow. Stay committed to doing that and improving. Like, it depends on your job, but
Yeah. Work on your
all of
craft,
that.
right?
Yeah, work on your craft. All of that advice is stuff that you've probably heard 1,000 times before, but it's things that I can say from personal experience have helped me.
Yes, sir. And that's what this
It
is
pays
about right
off.
now.
Yeah, and so sometimes with these things that you hear over and over again, the reason you're hearing them over and over again is because they work. So all those three things are great. And learn from my bad example with procrastination. Don't procrastinate.
Okay. Learn from all his bad examples is what he just said. So
All of them. Yeah.
All right. On that note, before we get you in trouble with anyone watching, we're gonna go ahead and go into the live question segment where the
Okay.
people watching at home, you guys have the chance to go ahead and ask Patrick Hogan any question you want. Try to keep it to the music business. If you ask for his phone number, then we'll see how that goes, I guess. Maybe he could DM
Well, we're
you
in
later.
different states, baby, so I don't know.
Hey, you said you like to stay late. Maybe some people like to stay up 24/7 too. So, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut to a quick break. Everyone watching, go ahead and think up the questions you like. This
Cool.
is your chance to go ahead and talk to a musician and see how it is. So let's go to break, and we're going.
1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Public service announcement for the people out there listening to this funky ass back album. Check it out.
Do I have a second? Okay. I'll be right back.
All right, everyone. So far we have one question asked. I'm not sure how many people left after the technical difficulty. Sorry about that, whoever's watching. But use the time now to go ahead and ask some questions. It's not every day you get to talk to a musician, right? So go ahead, start them up, get it going. I only see one. All right, there you go. I see two. I'm trying to involve the people at home too. So this is a whole group thing. This isn't just the Why Not Me podcast about Jerry. This is the Why Not Me podcast for the people at home. Why not you guys? So yeah, I'm probably gonna skip the this or that questions today because we kind of went a little overtime because of technical difficulties. It looks like Patrick Hogan is back. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the dual screen, I guess is what I'll call it.
Cool.
All right. So here's Patrick Hogan. So far we got two questions.
Cool.
The first question was, if you could play at any place or on any stage in the world, where would that be?
Wow. At any place, any stage. Something that I've thought about if I'm fortunate enough to have a career, touring and doing things that are my own name, I wouldn't mind. This sounds really weird, but I wouldn't mind doing some things at baseball stadiums.
Okay.
And I know that I just said I said about an hour ago that I hate playing outside, but like if if God willing I had the clout to fill a venue that size, I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind like doing a tour just like around various baseball stadiums, because then I could combine one love with another.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's yeah.
Which baseball stadium?
I would probably want to do a few of them, but I mean probably Oracle Park for one, since it's the Giants, but that one for sure, and then probably some of the historic ones like Wrigley. But it's funny because that's not a question that I think about too often. That would probably be my number one answer. But if we're talking about like other things, I mean, it would be nice to hit some of like the major cliche music answers like Carnegie Hall and the Hollywood Bowl and things like that. I wouldn't mind that either.
For modern times, Coachella.
Or that, why not?
Yeah. I feel like you probably get a younger audience there.
yeah. Well, I try not to in my music, I try not to appeal to one age over the other. So
yeah, no, that's true.
Why not? Yeah.
And well, that's a pretty good answer right there. Nicole Austin asked, sorry, A Piece of Us Vlogs asked that last question, and Nicole Austin is asking, what's your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing about my job, the creativity. Even when you get into like the routine and the stress, it can stress you out, and you're having to deal with the parts of of it that aren't as much fun. The creativity aspect is what is infinitely appealing, because there's always something new that you can come up with. It never feels like a stale occupation. I'm sure that even people who love their jobs, like in certain occupations, there can sometimes be a certain like stale feeling, and that happens occasionally, like with doing certain things. But really, at the end of the day, I think that the creativity is what appeals to me the most. And it's also wonderful for getting to know people and working with other people. That's lovely too. I wouldn't want to leave that out, but I think creativity. Yeah.
All right, man. Sorry, it wasn't that I wasn't paying attention. I was just fixing the screen a little. You were kind of cropped out.
Oh, cool.
So, you know what? I wasn't expecting that answer. That's a pretty good answer. That's a dang good answer right there, to be honest. Because, at the end of the day, everyone, uses their creativity differently.
Right.
And it shows, it shows in your work.
Right.
It shows in my work. It shows in whoever does their work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
For better or for worse, sometimes it shows that you guys don't really put much effort into some stuff. But I appreciate you, coming on the show. This is pretty much
my pleasure, really. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. This is curtain call, I guess. Is that no? That's like a musical or something, huh? You guys.
Curtain call. Well, it's a term meaning, somebody like an athlete or a musician or a performer has left the stage, and there's so much applause that he or she is being called back to take another bow.
Okay, so I don't sound stupid. This is a curtain call. I was about to end it, but you know what, Patrick Hogan, why don't you share your social media? I
Okay,
intended it
so
like that.
you can get my Instagram and Twitter. Just a caveat. I'll say it one more time. You'll notice when you go there that I'm not very active on there. That's going to change. I promise. I have some things cooking up. I wanted to make sure that like when I started putting more and more things out there, it was really what I wanted, something really special. So you can find my Instagram and Twitter. They're the same. It's at Jazz Piano Player, all one word. Do I have anything else?
Facebook.
I have those. I believe I have Facebook, which is going to be right now. It's just like a regular profile, but I'm going to be setting up more like a page for myself soon, and a website, and you'll be able to find out about those from the ones I do have. And I've also got I will probably be putting stuff up on there at some point. I've got a SoundCloud. I think that the link for that is in my Insta bio.
SoundCloud, is that just your piano, or are you freestyling on there? Mixtape. You got a
I used to
mixtape
have just some piano things on there. I don't know that I have anything live on there anymore. I've changed it out. I've used it in the past, but I have so many projects planned that kind of got derailed by the quarantine that like sooner rather than later stuff's going to start filtering out. So Instagram, Twitter, Jazz Piano Player, and like I said, Facebook as well. And I'm going to have a Facebook page and a website up real soon, and I'll be more active there. So, follow me there, and then there'll be more updates coming.
Okay, and anyone interested in seeing any of his live performances, go ahead and type in Patrick Hogan on YouTube. There's some clips on there. What was your friend's name? Carmine Mandia.
Carmine Mandia, yeah.
Okay.
He's a friend of mine. He hired me for something. Wonderful cat.
So there's some clips of him playing on there. Go ahead. Not only is he playing the piano, he's singing as well. So go ahead and catch him on
Yeah,
there.
and there will be I'll put something up on my social media accounts on this when it happens. But like I said, I'm going to be shooting some video at the end of the month, and some of that is going to be on. I'm going to put it on YouTube myself. So when that's up there, I'll start letting people know through the outlets that I have. Hey, I have this channel now, stuff like that. That'll be coming soon as well.
You guys heard it first here on the Why Not Me podcast. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Anyone watching, if you guys want, please share this. It'll help me out. It helps out Patrick Hogan. And, I appreciate you guys watching. I had a blast, Patrick.
So did I. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's crazy, man. This doesn't even really feel like 2 hours just went by. But
it's flown by.
yeah, it's crazy. So everyone, I hope you guys have a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'll catch you next week live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let's end it on a good note. Let's get it.
All right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put you on on mute, and I'll talk to you real quick after this.